This is a problem, Jay Prince, and I'm gonna tell you like this: if you're 60 years old and you trying to be a street nigga, you failed. My name is Mace. I stand by this message. We not your little niggas. Like the way you talking, I don't get what you mean. For real, all that big homie stuff, that's for little niggas. Little niggas have big homies. We're not little niggas. So we don't even respect big homies. I know Killer doesn't. And for me, I never respected niggas in the streets. That's why I always got the problems I got. Who is this nigga? That's how I feel listening to this, man. Like,
Jay Prince has a message for both of y'all with your comments after what you guys had to say about Shakur. He said, numbers don't lie, haters do. Let their haters say that he's boring and nobody wants to watch him. Sorry to tell you, it's just a select few of you haters. As you can see, there's proof that he has the #1 ratings in any fight on ESPN this year, the top 3 ratings since 2022. And to all of you haters who want to escalate that hate outside of the ring, I'm Shakur's manager and I handle all his business outside of the ring. In other words, Cam and Mace, I will fade all his shots and take all bets.
so then we talking to you then, all right? We starting with you. Since you the big homie, we starting with you. That's how it goes around here. I want to just start off by saying you are so lacking self-awareness. Like when you give such a lackluster performance and then you think you can make threats to people because you gave a lackluster performance, pause. You don't have the right to tell me what I should like or to tell Cam what he should like. That's not your place.
I love Mace saying, like, who is he? What's happening?
Mace smoked it.
What's happening right now? They both worded it, and it still seemed respectful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they didn't get out of pocket.
Yeah.
They didn't get out of pocket.
They seemed
They
like
were just telling the truth.
It started like any other night, 2 legends cracking jokes, sipping confidence, and doing what they do best. But when Maze leaned forward and spoke those words, the entire tone of the room shifted. You could feel it. This wasn't some offhand punchline. This was a direct hit. Calling out Jay Prince, the man known for building Rap-A-Lot records, for moving quietly but powerfully. That's something almost nobody in hip-hop history has dared to do. And Mace didn't just call him out. He stripped the power dynamic right off him in front of thousands. 60 years old and still trying to be street. That line cut deeper than any diss record, because it wasn't about age, it was about credibility, about what happens when the old school code meets the new era of transparency. And what made it even more surreal was how calm Mace was. He wasn't shouting, he wasn't angry. He said it like a man who had been holding that truth in for years, like he was tired of watching the same intimidation cycle repeat itself in hip-hop, older men trying to police opinions through legacy. The second he said it, the energy online flipped. People weren't just reacting, they were replaying. That clip was dissected like a scene out of a movie. Who really dares to speak that directly to a man like Jay Prince? Because if you know the streets, you know what that means. You don't just say that kind of thing by accident. You say it when you're ready for the response. And Mace? He looked more than ready. That one statement cracked open a conversation the whole culture had been avoiding. When does respect turn into control? And that's where things began to shift.
You 60, you 60. What are you talking about? What are you, bro? I lost mad respect for you because I used to have mad respect for you. When you had Shakur with you, when you line Young Boy NBA up, why the f you got Shakur with you? And this is why he acting like that. This is exactly why he acting like that. Talking about you got Young Boy NBA umbrellas and his keys to his car. Young Boy NBA told y'all eat a dick. This is what he said. This is what Young Boy NBA said. Wack 100 was the most disrespect. Wild disrespect. I ain't even gonna repeat this Wack 100 said. So for the people that's catching up on this who have no idea how this started, we gave our opinion of the fight. We said this was boring. All of us said it was boring. It's 100 niggas saying it's boring. But because our go viral, niggas think that they could keep talking to us. Shakur Stevenson told us to get the strap or strap up, or better yet, put the gloves on so he could fight us. We said what he said, and then he started going crazy.
So look, I gotta ask, I think I'd be remiss if I don't. Any message for Cam and Mace? Y'all been going back and forth a lot over the last week.
Some old niggas, they ain't got my respect.
There you go.
Since it's all comedy, I'm gonna deal with it like comedy, nigga. You hear that? Like I said, nigga, your mother named you after Shakur, nigga. You know I ain't had no problems with the first Shakur. I ain't gonna have no problems with you. Chill out, little nigga. We got the right to have our opinion, and I say that with all due respect, you know, but just keep it where it is, man. Let humor be humor. Let everybody say what they gotta say. You don't like what we said, the box better. Until you beat Tank, it ain't really nothing for you to say. And making threats, I'ma just keep it real. If we talking boxing, I got 3 knockouts in All-Star Weekend, man. So I got 100% knockout ratings on All-Star Weekend if we checking the records.
When you have a young guy like Shakur, instead of fighting his battles or trying to go against everyone that's commenting on him, you should be talking to him on or teaching him how to get better.
By the time Cam'ron opened his mouth, the air in that studio felt heavy. He wasn't just co-hosting anymore, he was mediating. And if you know Cam, you know he's a chess player. Every word is measured. Every smirk, every pause has purpose. While Mace came in hot, swinging with blunt honesty, Cam'ron took the opposite approach, smooth, composed, but strategically surgical. He wanted to remind everyone watching, yo, we not them anymore. We grown, we successful, we out the streets. But what Cam might not have realized in that moment was that Jay Prince doesn't separate business from reputation. For Jay Prince, being respected isn't optional, it's part of the brand. So when Mace said those words, it wasn't just talk. It was a public challenge to a system built on fear and hierarchy. And Cam'ron's attempt to keep it cool, that was like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Because even when you mean peace, perception is everything. Jay Prince saw it as disrespect, not just to him, but to the code he's lived by for decades. And in his world, when someone questions your standing, you don't let it slide, you answer. So when those cryptic posts started appearing online, the ones that said, numbers don't lie, haters do, the streets understood exactly what time it was. It wasn't just a statement, it was a warning shot. But the internet doesn't play by street rules anymore. This time, the message wasn't being whispered in back rooms, it was broadcast for millions to screenshot and dissect. And suddenly, what started as a few casual comments turned into a public showdown between 2 generations of hip-hop power.
You boring, you boring. Everybody's seen it. We ain't the only ones who seen it. You boring. I thought I was rather polite about it. I thought it was cool. Your grandfather's in your corner telling you to let your hands go. You won't let your motherfucking hands go because you're scared to get hit. You want to swim without getting wet. It's just not going to happen. Now, what I will say, this is the most entertainment we've seen out of you in the last 2 years. This was kind of funny. This is the most entertainment we've seen out of you in 2 years. Congratulations. After the fight's over, he walks back to the corner like this. That don't look like a champion. Champs start walking around the ring diddy bopping when they beating up. Your grandfather, that's how I know what your grandfather's telling you. They knew you the bag up. You the bag up. You were supposed to show off, show out. Not only that, you was talking before the fight. You was the one before, I'm gonna knock this out. I'm gonna demolish it, I'm gonna do all this. And you ain't do nothing you said. That's why is mad. The point being is this, you fighting more after the fight. You just had a fight Saturday. You're losing your damn mind the last 2 days. Trying to fight everybody on Instagram, on Twitter, or everything else. Because we seen it. We seen it. What is you talking about? Then you talk about we should glove up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. But nigga slap fire out you. Nigga, shut the fuck up. You getting boxing in the streets confused, nigga. For real, nigga. Like, stop getting boxing in the street. Those are 2 different things, nigga. That is 2 different things, nigga. Because when a switchblade or something out and everything, you talk about niggas better strap up. Why would you give niggas that heads up? You dumb motherfucker. Fuck out of here. You out your motherfucking mind. If you want to impress me, step up and wait. Fight to your Fimo in Newark so he can knock your head to Irvington. What is you talking about, nigga? You ain't impressing nobody with all this Twitter talk. All this wild Twitter talk you talking. Who are you talking about? You're talking about niggas ain't legends. Nigga. Mace, I'll tell you right now, and this, I'm not talking about Mace when he came out and sold. Mace was Michael Jackson after Michael Jackson, before Drake. Nigga sold 5 million in 3 weeks. What is you talking about? But I'm talking about tonight. Tonight, right now, Mace is a 1,000,000% better rapper than you a boxer. 1,000,000%. Don't make me put the battery in his back to Oracle 3, you nigga.
Yeah.
I have them Oracle 3. That's what you need to do is Oracle 3, man. And let niggas know, man. He is 1,000,000% better rapper than you a boxer, bro. Get the fuck out of here. Lastly, what I was going to say, Murder, is this. You keep talking about, how they legends, they doing podcasts, this and that. We make more money than you. We sit here and make more money than you. I know you don't want to play the Cash App, open your bank account game on the phone when we see each other. I know you don't want to open the phones up and see how much you got in the account. You made $2 million.
The put this energy into your boxing and start letting your hands go, then you will be a pay-per-view star.
Oh, they podcast. Because we getting chicken. We make more money than you. You better come when you want a job. We might got a job for you. Get the out of here. Go ahead, Murder.
Once those podcast clips hit the internet, the story stopped belonging to Mace and Cam. It became public property, fuel for headlines, think pieces, and street debates. Every comment section was a war zone. Half the crowd said Mace finally said what others were too scared to admit. The other half? They said he crossed a dangerous line, one that old-school figures like Jay Prince don't forget. And the thing about Jay Prince is, he doesn't respond right away. He lets the silence do the heavy lifting first. But that silence, it always means calculation. Because behind every quote, every coded post, there's a message being drafted, one that doesn't need to be loud to be understood. Then came that Houston DJ, someone not random, but connected. He dropped a few sentences on air, but those words carried weight. Let's just say, folks down here ain't happy about that kind of talk. That's when it clicked for people watching. This wasn't just entertainment anymore. This was tension between two eras, two cities, and two philosophies colliding in real time. Mace was talking from a space of truth and growth. Jay Prince was operating from a code built on respect and legacy. And when those two energies meet, history says something, or someone, always gives. And just as the online chatter started cooling off, something unexpected reignited the flame.
Boxing is also entertainment. Let me school you, Nick. So when you get in the ring, you're not entertaining. We don't want to keep hearing about the sweet science. We're looking for entertainment. We're paying bucks for entertainment, and you're not entertaining. And somebody got to tell you this. I know you flipped out on Tim Bradley, tried to say they paid him to say that. I know you said that Bob Arum panned the cam on people leaving out as you was fighting. But listen, if the fight was smoking, nobody had to walk out. You should not be the main event fighting like the undercard. Your fight was like the undercard. All the smoke was before you. So they need to rearrange how you're going. You're like a headliner that really need to be the opening act. And that's on a business sense. So you need to take note of that.
They call you pillow hands. That's what they call you. I didn't make that up. That's what I heard. They call you pillow hands. But listen, it's room for you here. We need a boxing analyst weekly. We could be your promoter.
Yeah.
Listen, you never got this much traction. We could, dead serious. I know it's gonna be like, think about it. You in Billboard. You ever been in Billboard? You in Billboard. You on TMZ.
You made it.
You made it, Nick. You made it. If you need help, we're here. We got you here right now. It's a week and think about it. It's a week and a half after the fight, and we still talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just a difference between big homie and OG. Like, the OGs is that's older than you, more experienced. They've been around and they teaching you. They're keeping you away from danger. They are valuable in your life.
Why do you think that you could tell us what we can and cannot say, man? Control your control that. Ain't nobody gonna tell a nigga, get the strap, and then we gonna sit there and be like, hey, I think we should shut up. Nah, this is not 1982, bro. You cannot sit here and tell nigga, get the strap, and then be quiet. Nobody know that part, because I should just be going viral. You bugging, James, you bugging, man. I don't know what bet you talking about, all that other slang then. Bet it, whatever bet you talking about, bet it. I don't know what, bet it. Bet it. You want to bet it? I don't know what to bet it.
When Maze went live again, it felt less like a response and more like a declaration. He wasn't backtracking, wasn't looking for clout. He was setting boundaries. His tone was steady, almost rehearsed. as if he knew every word might echo further than intended. And when he said, "We not glorifying that old life no more," it wasn't just about Jay Prince anymore. It was about every artist still tied to codes that don't serve them. Every man still chasing validation from a past that's long gone. But then came the moment nobody could ignore. The phone lighting up. Message after message, like silent alarms going off mid-conversation. It wasn't random, not at that timing. He looked down, cracked a small grin, but that smile said everything. Something was happening behind the scenes, and for those who really pay attention, that silence after the live ended, that was the loudest part of all. Because when someone like Mace goes quiet right after standing on business, it usually means the conversations just moved off camera. Calls were being made, boundaries being tested, and the industry was suddenly split between those who supported his message and those warning him to chill before it gets messy. But Mace wasn't backing down. He was too deep in now, and whether he knew it or not, his words had already drawn a line in hip-hop's sand. And the question was no longer, who's right? It was how far this would really go. The silence that followed Mace's live wasn't peace, it was positioning. Because in hip-hop, when things go quiet, it usually means the call's already happened. Those unfollows from Houston artists, that wasn't random. That was a public signal, the industry's subtle way of picking sides without saying it out loud. And that post, "Respect is earned, not spoken," that line hit like a whisper meant for only one person, but everyone heard it. Cameron, ever the professional, kept the show moving, but even viewers could sense the shift. The usual back-and-forth banter now came with longer pauses, more calculated jokes. He knew the tension had spilled outside their studio, and one wrong word could reignite the fire. Then that DM leak surfaced, quiet but explosive. If it was real, it meant one thing. Someone was trying to end this before it got personal. Because when words between public figures start to feel like coded messages, someone always steps in to mediate, before reputation turns into retaliation. But the damage was already done. Mace had spoken a truth most people avoid. Jay Prince had defended a legacy he built from scratch. And now, the whole culture was asking the same question. Where's the line between speaking your truth and crossing it? Because when someone like Mace speaks, it's not just about ego or status, it's about a generational clash. The old guard still believes respect is built in silence. The new era believes truth only matters if it's said out loud. And stuck in between is a culture still figuring out which version of power survives. Behind closed doors, conversations shifted. People who once shouted Jay Prince's name with pride suddenly went quiet. Not because they switched sides, but because they knew this wasn't a situation to play both ends. In hip-hop, neutrality doesn't exist. You're either part of the code or you're breaking it. Industry insiders started whispering that Mace's team had been advised to tone it down. Publicists, producers, even old associates wanted him to step back, let it cool off. But if you've watched Mace over the years, you know that man doesn't move out of fear. When he speaks, it's conviction, not calculation. And maybe that's why this hit so different. It wasn't a diss track or a headline grab. It was the kind of moment where the curtain drops, and you realize how many rappers are still prisoners to an image they outgrew years ago. Cameron saw it happening in real time. You could see it in his interviews, the hesitation before answering, the careful choice of words. Because he knew that one misstep could drag him into a storm he never intended to stand in. Mace might have been ready for the smoke, but Cam had spent too long building peace. Too long rebranding himself from street stories to sports talk and real conversation. Still, no matter how calm Cam stayed, the ripple effect was spreading. Other rappers, younger ones especially, started weighing in indirectly. Some agreed, saying it was time for the industry to stop glorifying fear and false power. Others took offense, arguing that the foundation of respect can't just be rewritten because times changed. And that's where the irony kicked in. What started as a moment of honesty was now fueling a cultural debate about authenticity itself. Because think about it. What does real even mean in 2025? Is it still about who controls the streets or who controls the narrative? Mace Mace was betting on the latter. He believed transparency was the new power. That silence doesn't protect you, it just hides what's already broken. But Jay Prince represents something sacred to an older generation. A time when respect wasn't discussed publicly, it was earned privately, through presence, not posts. That's why the tension hit so hard. It wasn't personal, it was philosophical. And as that idea spread, fans started re-watching old interviews, dissecting quotes, pulling clips where other artists spoke about the same thing: the cost of maintaining a street legacy in a digital era. The comments weren't about beef anymore. They were about what kind of code still makes sense in a world where everything lives online forever. The more people talked, the more the silence from Jay Prince's side became noticeable. Weeks went by. No statements, no interviews, no corrections, just that same quiet, deliberate energy he's always had. The kind that says, if you know, you know. But silence in this age doesn't erase tension, it amplifies it. Because every day there wasn't a response, speculation grew. People began reading into every repost, every caption, every feature. Was there a hidden message? Was it over? Or was something still brewing behind the scenes? Then came the whispers, those soft, half-confirmed stories from sources close to the situation. The kind of talk that lives in comment sections before it ever makes a headline. They said Mace had been reached out to privately, that certain people wanted peace before pride turned into pressure. But even if that was true, one thing was clear. The damage wasn't just reputational, it was cultural. A mirror had been held up, and hip-hop didn't quite like what it saw, because here was Mace, a preacher, a legend, a man who walked away from the game, calling out the same code that once made it thrive. And here was Jay Prince, a businessman, a power broker, a man who shaped the blueprint, reminding everyone that legacy still demands loyalty. That tension between truth and tradition is what made this story stick. It wasn't just about words, it was about two men embodying two eras of what hip-hop values most: respect versus evolution. As days turned to weeks, you could see the fatigue on social media. Fans stopped debating who was right and started asking what it even means to keep it real anymore. Because every generation says it, but nobody agrees on what it means. And that's the quiet tragedy of moments like this. Nobody wins. Not really. Mace stood his ground, and in doing so, reignited conversations that the industry tried to bury years ago. But in that same act, he also reminded everyone just how fragile the bridge between hip-hop's past and present really is. You could see it in the next few podcast episodes. Cameron still laughed, still entertained, but that raw, unfiltered spark between him and Mace, it had shifted. There was caution now, measured tone, that invisible awareness that certain subjects carry weight, even if you never say a name again. The story started fading from timelines, but not from memory, because moments like this don't disappear. They just evolve into reference points. Quiet lessons passed through conversations, interviews, and unspoken nods of understanding. And maybe that's what makes it powerful. It reminded everyone watching that even in an era of streaming numbers and viral clips, respect still matters. Maybe not in the same way it did before, but enough that one sentence can still shake an entire system. As months passed, new beefs replaced old headlines. But the energy of this one stayed, not because of drama, but because it felt real. It wasn't about who could rap better or who had more hits. It was about integrity, about where the line gets drawn when an artist grows past the rules that once defined them. Mace never apologized. Jay Prince never demanded one. And that silence, that mutual understanding, might be the closest thing to resolution this story ever gets. Because sometimes, peace doesn't come from words. It comes from the decision not to escalate. From two men realizing they represent something bigger than a soundbite. And maybe that's what the audience missed in all the noise, that this wasn't about winning a feud, it was about shifting a culture. A quiet tug of war between the values that built hip-hop and the voices trying to evolve it. In a way, it's poetic. The same culture that once thrived on coded language and subtle power plays now finds itself debating transparency and growth. And even though the players change, the question never does: how do you move forward without betraying where you came from? That's what this whole moment symbolized, a generational checkpoint, a reminder that sometimes growth looks like confrontation, that silence can be power, but honesty can be liberation. And whether people agree with Mace or not, you can't deny what he did. He spoke truth in a room full of history, knowing exactly what it might cost him. That's what makes stories like this timeless. They aren't about who said what. They're about what it means for everyone watching, artists, fans, and the industry itself. Because when one man challenges the definition of respect, it forces everyone else to re-examine their own. And that's why this moment still lingers, not as gossip, but as reflection. A mirror to the culture, showing how far it's come and how much further it still has to go. And don't go anywhere. Click the next video you see on your screen for even more juicy celebrity chaos, betrayals, and stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know. See you in the next one.